Mr.
Now I
Crusher.
am.
Do your Mr. Crusher impression.
Mr. Crusher.
Mr. Crusher
That's
impression.
not. Oh, Captain Picard, I want to fly the Enterprise. Silence, Mr. Crusher.
Welcome to On Tapes, a podcast about the physical medium of VHS tapes. My name is Rowan, and each episode, my co-host Mark and I will look at 3 tapes. One film which I've chosen, one film which he has chosen, and a third tape that we pick at random. We're back!
Hello.
Should we explain the state of this podcast in recent times? So, the last episode that we recorded was episode 13. Which was recorded October 2021.
It's now October
2022. And this is us recording episode 14.
But from your perspective, only a month has passed.
Before that, there was about a year. I think it was exactly a year.
Exactly a year.
Yeah. What happened was we got overambitious and thought we could record a Halloween episode in the space between the last one we recorded coming out and Halloween. Couldn't do that, so I came up with a genius idea of just waiting till next Halloween.
In the intervening time, cinema has died.
Yeah, so we're back. We're taking it back to VHS. It was an insane idea. I've missed recording the podcast, but we should be back and stable now. I say now.
We'll see.
Should we just dive into the tapes?
Yeah.
Like nothing's happened.
Like nothing's happened.
Okay, what tapes do we have?
We have Final Destination 2.
Of course we do.
The sequel to Final Destination.
1.
Wasn't called that. We have The Driller Killer, directed by Abel Ferrara. And we have Carol Vorderman's
Go on.
whatever that box says.
What's the title?
Times Tables.
Pop music
Pop
times
music
table.
times tables.
It's easy to follow. Where would you like to begin with with this Halloween edition of
Let's
the podcast?
start with Final Destination.
Final Destination
Very
2.
no fuss tape, no trailers, just straight into it.
Well, this is 2003. VHS is dead. Talking about cinema being dead, VHS was, in the ground. 1 foot in the ground. What did you say? What's the saying?
1 foot in the grave. It's a TV show.
Of course, I know it's a TV show. I couldn't remember what the saying was. One thing I did note about this this tape, the packaging for this tape. Do you see that there is a URL on the bottom, a website on the bottom of this tape?
www.deathiscoming.com.
Yeah. So I went to this site.
Any luck?
Why don't you look up what www.deathiscoming takes you to?
I don't know, this is sinister. Making me Google this. Is it going to give me a virus?
Only if you
Or
want
is it
one.
going to be a funeral home or something? It's the Warner Brothers shop.
It's the Warner Brothers shop. I wonder.
They've kept up with it.
Yeah, I wonder if it directed to that back
Anyway.
when this came out, because it makes a lot of sense, or if it was like a more general promotional site for the film.
I'm surprised they've kept their old websites up. Ooh, shop House of the Dragon. Or shop Ted Lasso. That's your 2 options there. Owned by Discovery now, of course.
Maybe they used Death is Coming for other projects as well, and it was like a catch-all spooky
thing.
website. It's not even the tagline for the movie though.
No.
The
Which
tagline on the box
is-
just says "It's not over yet."
Creative.
Yeah, it's because they were coming up with a third one.
I thought that it was something else.
Very possibly. I also am not a fan of the font on this 2 on the box.
It looks corny.
Corny.
Oh no, I remember.
Sorry, you said the 2 looks corny.
Yeah.
Interesting choice of words.
Anyway, no, I remember because the tagline according to Letterboxd is "Death is like a boomerang, it keeps coming back."
Sounds like a song lyric more than a movie tagline.
A new metal song lyric, probably. Very appropriate for the
It
period.
does. Yeah. As you said, there's no trailers at all. It just gets straight into the movie.
Straight into it.
Very dull, At least some of the others we've looked at from like the tail end of the VHS era have like shown like trailers for like the concept of DVDs.
Weird, isn't it?
Yeah, this was just like, no, we're
Probably don't mention that.
accepting our
People
fate.
who know these, people can't be allowed to know that DVDs exist if they're still playing this.
We don't know. Yeah.
Anyway, we've done that bit.
Bringing back the hits for our return episode.
What did you think of the film?
What did I think of the movie overall? I thought it was fine.
Yes.
Have you seen other Final
I've seen
Destinations?
the first one and the third one.
As have I. I think we've discussed this. Did you like those? I mean, it's the same movie.
They're okay. This is the only one of the trilogy that wasn't written by James Wong and Glenn Morgan.
I mean, it's beyond a trilogy now. Isn't there like 5?
Well, the initial trilogy. And the original concept was an episode of The X-Files.
Yeah, I did know
which
that.
Morgan and Wong wrote. But I realised it kind of, because when we were watching this film, there was a reference to one of the characters in the previous film called Val Luton. And I was like...
Like the place?
No, Val Luton, as in like the producer of Cat People and all those Jacques Turner films from the 40s. And I thought, that's a very Morgan and Wong reference to make. Lo and behold, character from the previous film.
Ah. So their shtick's still seeping into this.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of characters in the previous film who were named after famous directors. So I thought a fun game would be, since you're always playing fun games with me.
Am I?
Yes. I'm going to get off a list of Final Destination characters, and you're going to tell me what is the, who they're named after, and what this person is most famous for.
Oh god, okay. So these aren't characters in Final Destination 2, the movie that we're reviewing.
Some of them are.
Well, we're not reviewing, we're talking about.
Right, here's the first one.
So, okay.
Alex Browning.
Browning machine gun.
No, they're filmmakers. They're named after.
Alexander Payne?
I should have started with the easy one.
Who? Browning?
Todd Browning.
Todd
who directed
Browning.
Dracula.
Of course.
Try this one. Billy Hitchcock.
Billy Zane? It's Alfred Hitchcock.
Agent Shrek.
Max Shrek.
Yes.
Who was Nosferatu.
And relate to that. Larry Murdow.
F.W. Murnau.
Yes. And Blake Dreyer.
What's the Dreyer? Carl?
Yes.
Theodore Dreyer.
There you go.
Yeah, I knew that somewhere.
Some from the second one that we just saw that were a bit more obvious. Kimberly Corman.
Roger Corman.
Roger Corman. Nora Carpenter.
John Carpenter.
Yes.
Charisma Carpenter.
Even better. And the third one, we've got Erin Ulmer.
Edgar G. Ulmer.
Yep. And Jason Wise.
Wise.
You almost said it just then, I think.
Robert Wise?
Yes.
Who's that?
He directed The Haunting.
I don't know why that name was in my head, but I knew it.
Editor of Magnificent Ambersons. We slagged him off on the podcast, remember? Because he was slagging off, saying that the Wells cut of Ambersons.
Maybe that's why. Maybe that's since I'm back in this spot, all these memories are coming rushing back.
They keep going with this into the fourth one. Like there's Nick O'Bannon.
Dan O'Bannon?
Dan O'Bannon. And Candice Hooper.
Toby Hooper?
They get more obvious. They're Peter Friedkin.
Exorcist?
Yeah. Olivia
Wait.
Castle.
What's his... William Friedkin.
And then Olivia Castle.
Matt Castle.
No, William Castle.
No.
Not Matt Castle.
Not the
Who's
former quarterback, Matt Castle.
Oh, I forgot there was one you would like in the fourth one. Hunt Wynorski.
Oh, Jimmo!
Yes. Director of a lot of shit.
Oh, I want to say there's one called Raptor.
I was going to say Raptor.
There's another one that I've seen that's more of like an erotic thriller.
Great filmmaker. Anyway, do you want to get into the film? I was going to save that for when we're deep into the film discussion. Let's just talk about the film itself, I guess.
One of the first things about this is about a name. You didn't mention it. I want to ask you, is Clear a name?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. And I remember
She's called Clear Rivers.
Yeah. It's so interesting that you've named all these characters and how they're named after something, and the one that sounds like it should be a reference to something is
It's
just
not.
made up.
No, that's weird. I like her though. I like Ali Larter,
Yeah,
who comes back from the first one for this.
yeah, the only one.
Yeah, she really saves the film for me. Thank God Devon Sawa didn't come back.
Yeah, neither did his career.
Oh.
Hey-o.
She's very good in Heroes and the Resident Evil films. I wish she'd done more horror. She's done less than you'd think.
What's she done other than these?
Not much. She's done a lot of TV.
I see. She was the only name from this movie, I think.
Yeah.
They had less star power. Because what's...
Tony Todd returns, the Candyman himself.
Yes, he's only in like 2 scenes
Yeah.
though. Am I right? Yeah. Yeah. The first one had a lot more oomph behind it at the time.
Well, this film was made for $26 million, and it does not look like a $26 million film from 2003.
What makes you say that?
Just something about the way it looks to me. The fact that it's shot in 1.85.
Mm.
It feels like it should be widescreen. I was so good. I was like, this must be the wrong aspect ratio. No, it's fine. It's completely right.
Interesting.
Very 2000s, early 2000s kind of horror film, isn't it?
Yeah. Did you like the outfits on display?
They were fine.
Yeah, it was very, we enjoyed the early 2000s for outfits, but this is just like people.
Just
No one was
normal
really
people.
dressed up.
Costume design wasn't great.
No. Did you enjoy? I know you're someone of a very nervous disposition.
Yes.
Did this? This is one of the most nervous films ever, in the way you just hang on it. Did it get to you?
Not particularly, because none of these things... I'm not afraid of a bunch of crows flying into the dentist's office and causing the things they keep on the dentist's ceiling for some reason to fly into my mouth.
But
And then that being fine, but then me being crushed outside.
well, that's do you not enjoy that? The constant I don't know.
Will it, won't it?
Oh. Well, it won't. You know it won't. You know what? If they just died on the first thing, it'd be a bit of a.
It's interesting how these films are kind of known for being just dead teenager movies. I feel like the first film had a lot more concept behind it.
It did. It was
This one definitely leads more into that.
more into a
They're just killing people for a laugh.
yeah.
And then by the third one, they've completely just gone with it.
I remember liking the third one, but
Yeah.
it was it's like the gold member thing where it's like we're just giving up. We're just gonna make it all bit.
The stick with these films is their best when they don't try and be a real film.
Yeah, you don't want. I mean, the storyline throughout this, she's repeating the past. History's repeating itself. A lot of stuff referenced to the first one. It's not beat for beat, but it's like
There's some fun concepts like Clea being in an insane asylum voluntarily.
yeah, being very again nervous, freaked
I
out.
guess you would be.
Yeah.
It's kind of a metaphor for if you should just live your life in fear or something.
Well-
But sort of not really, who cares?
They seem to be much more like embracing of death in this one.
Yeah,
Like
pretty
the first one, they're like, "Oh no, we're gonna die," but in this one, they're all like, "It's me next, isn't it?" That's not good.
much. Fuck it.
Yeah, it's very bleak for a popcorn horror movie.
Do you like the opening scene? People talk about that a lot.
I do.
The logs.
The logs,
Apparently they were going to use real logs initially, but they
What?
didn't bounce properly.
so what did they use instead?
CGI.
Ah,
You can tell.
well, that's why you watch it on VHS quality. So just this looked quite good though. The way now that I've got my setup with my CRT, it looks much better.
Good.
I mean, we just watched the Carol Vorderman on your television, which did not.
I thought that
do
looked
any
fine.
favours. Yeah, but it just doesn't feel right.
I guess not.
No, you want a screen this big.
You do.
I'm making a very small size with my hands for this at
Ever
home.
since I've started following CRT bot on Twitter, it's just...
Yeah,
I'd really like to play Silent Hill on one of those.
you gonna get one?
Could do.
Have we ever told the story about how I acquired my CRT?
Oh yeah, tell that story.
My flatmate and I were looking for a CRT for quite a while, seeing if anyone would pop up on like Gumtree or anything. But they would either pop up and be like in bad nick, or they'd be like someone would know their worth and try and charge like 50 quid for like a terrible little TV.
Scum.
And we kept trying to find ones on the side of the road, and we'd like find them, and it'd be like face down and broken, or like I walked by one once and it was like in the snow. I was like, Jesus Christ. And one time you were around our flat, We'd been together like all evening, and just at the end of the night, as you were leaving, you mentioned like, "Oh yeah, I saw one at the side of the road, one of those TVs you're looking for." I'm like, "What?" So like early hours of the morning,
2 a.m.-ish.
we went on like a voyage, an exodus to go see if this television was still next to a bin in the street, and it was. So we stole it.
I don't think it's stealing at that point.
No, we one man's trash, another man's treasure.
I think you'd tell we're not that interested in Final Destination 2.
No, but it's fun. It's fun watch, easy watch.
Yeah, simple enough.
Did you have a favorite death scene?
I guess the crushing by the
Mr. Crusher. That's probably going to be cut out of the actual episode. Like, you went to a cold open that just, just paid off at this point.
The crushing by the plate glass window thing, I think.
Oh, I see.
What was yours?
Didn't note them down.
I can't really remember any of those.
No. It's I feel like when you're younger and you watch this when you're younger, all this stuff would like stick in your mind. It's like, whoa, that's really graphic and brutal, because I think that's what they're going for in a lot of cases. It's like the horror isn't like, oh, is a serial killer trying to kill you. It's like, these things could happen to you type stuff. Like, one leaky something is going to set something, like a set up a chain of events, and you're like, you're never safe. And, I guess that's the whole death is following you motif.
One thing I noted was that Ali Larter had a much better haircut in this one.
Yeah?
But it's the same haircut she has at the end of the epilogue of the first one, where it's like a year later. But
Interesting.
It's completely different from the haircut she has in the rest of the first film.
I mean, if it makes sense, they're continuing from the epilogue then.
Well, yeah, exactly. But it's weird how they changed it so significantly. She has this dreadful fringe in the film. I have a note that says creepy homeless man was a trope for a while.
It was a trope for a while. I mean, it kind of still is.
Still is, but to a lesser extent.
Yeah, just kind of playing off it now.
In The Driller Killer, of course, homeless people, not creepy, victims.
I feel like okay, we're going to move on to the Driller Killer. That's fine. Also, murdering homeless people is quite a motif.
Like an American Psycho.
It's the only example I can come up with, but
which is brought up in the DVD commentary. Which I watched. Let's just get into the film first.
Well,
there's a lot to get through. Let's talk about the trailers.
I don't think that this goes with the spirit of the podcast. Watching DVD commentary. But let's move. The trailers. So
these are the best trailers we've ever had.
talk us through them.
The first one, Atolladero.
Yes, starring
Iggy Pop. A Spanish sci-fi spaghetti western, I think.
Yeah, I've never heard of this.
Me neither. I've never heard of two of these films.
That's what a trailer should do. Introduce you to stuff.
They really knew the kind of people who wanted to see the Driller Killer.
Is there a year on this tape?
I guess like 2000s.
1999.
Perfect.
So yeah, I guess if you're buying the Driller Killer on VHS tape in 1999, you might be in the market for some of these movies.
Like Atolladero. And The Washing Machine. A Ruggero Deodato seemingly slasher. I have it on good authority. It's more a psychological thriller.
I think it looks good.
Looks alright.
Yeah.
The director of Cannibal Holocaust, which was also a video nasty.
Mm-hmm.
And then Possession.
Yeah.
Which, if anything, undersells how weird it is.
Yeah, I've not seen Possession.
Great film.
Yeah.
Don't have much more to say about Possession. It's good.
They were all really weird trailers, though. It was just like random scenes, and they all ended with like this, like they all run the same VHS type cover.
Yeah,
I'm guessing
it
was like
plain cover. It looked very cheap.
Yeah, I don't know if because that's not what the Driller Killer cover looks like. So I don't know if they were like trying to market like a specific line, like a collection or something.
A weird line.
Yeah.
The next one is the Holy Mountain.
Yeah.
Which does make it look quite insane. But the colours look terrible.
On this?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's known for being super vibrant and
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Don't
right?
get that on VHS.
No.
Nice and muted.
Mmm.
So the Driller Killer. What do you
Driller
think?
Killer.
The Driller Killer.
First question. Did you play it loud?
Obviously, it said at the beginning this film will be played loud.
I did turn it up when I saw that pop up.
It is loud.
I watched this. This is when I made sure to make it spooky for. I had a little candle,
Ooh.
darkness, loud movie.
Were you disappointed by the
Uh,
lack of drilling, relatively speaking? It's not a typical slasher film, is it? It's more psychological than that.
yeah. Also, I don't think if you name your film Driller Killer, I don't think you need. I'm not going to complain for not being too much drilling and killing. I mean,
You say that in the DVD commentary, Abel Ferrara at one point, 30 minutes in, says, "My question is, this is great, guys, but when are you gonna fucking drill somebody?"
he says that about his own movie.
Yeah.
Good.
He says we're really putting 42nd Street audiences to the test.
I'm surprised you could see anything in this movie. It was very dark.
It was
especially
very dark.
even watching it with the lights out, the only light from a candle on my laptop screen. It was hard to make out a lot of what was happening.
I won't lie, I was quite glad to watch it a second time with the commentary.
Yeah, I take issue with that.
Okay. If anything, I found the film much more entertaining. I find the film more interesting as a historical document than as just something to watch.
Okay, so you find the DVD more interesting, or the VHS more interesting?
The DVD
Oh,
as a document.
oh.
Well, as in terms of
The
with
VHS
the commentary.
as an experience.
Yes. I'd rather see it on 16mm, if anything. I was going to ask you, how long do you think we'll get into this episode without saying the phrase pre-Giuliani New York?
Oh, I was that. I feel like this is one of the foundation blocks of your pre-Giuliani New York ethos.
It really, I mean, it's Abel Ferrara. It's like most of his films.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about that? Have you mentioned you maybe brought it up in the after hours discussion?
But this film really encapsulates it with the scuzziness and the grossness. And I think Ferrara described it as having, at this time, an energy that exists when people can live for nothing. So, like, even though everyone was very poor, it was horrible, there was, because it was so cheap to live there.
There was vibes.
There was vibes. But now it's all gentrified. I mean, what happened with Giuliani? You know a bit about this. Why is it pre-Giuliani New York?
Oh, because he came by with his the only thing I could remember was he came by with his sponge. Something else so you could a cleaning utensil. He came in and cleaned it up.
Clean it up
Cleaned
by
up the city.
Forcibly evacuating most of the residents.
Yeah, making it all nice for people. Nice and
for
gentrified.
The rich people.
Yes. Yes, for rich people who as poor people we know aren't real people. That's why I said it that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is clearly what Abel Ferrara's character in this film thinks.
Yeah. Did you find
Jimmy Lane.
Hmm?
Jimmy Lane.
Jimmy Lane?
Yeah, the main actor of the film.
Yes.
Jimmy Lane.
Yes. Where's
Who
that
is?
name come from?
I don't know.
No.
It's just what you call
Abel
it.
Ferrara.
It's Abel Ferrara.
Yeah.
Carry on.
We were talking so much about names being referenced to something. I assumed that he would have something for that. Just
a name.
Jimmy Lane.
Well, he might have used a similar name on his previous films. This was his second film, of course. His previous film, 9 Lives of a Wet Pussy.
Go on.
Which was a pornographic film
Ooh.
that he made because he couldn't get a job outside after he left university.
We've all been there.
In the film,
Never made a porno film actually. Not all been there.
Well, it's on Movie if you want to watch 9 Lives of a Wet Pussy, or where I watched it, Ex-Hamster. He made this porno.
Can we tweet that link out?
Possibly. He made this film starring his ex-girlfriend, but at one point he had to step in to act in the film because, in his words, the main actor couldn't get it up. And he said, "It's bad enough paying a guy $200 to fuck your girlfriend, that he can't get it off."
Was he mentioned this in the commentary?
I think he mentioned this in some other thing.
Okay.
I just like talking about Abel.
You do. We've watched a few Abels together, and he never grabbed me.
What is it about him?
I don't know. It just misses me.
Is it the way he structures the films? Because I feel like they're
possibly deliberate,
very deliberate, kind of, but they just sort of go on without much sort of through line at the time. That it just kind of ends.
Yeah, but I don't even think that's something that I would be against. When you describe it like that, that sounds good to me. But there's something about the way he puts it together. I just never. I can appreciate a lot of these. Like we've spoken about Dangerous Game,
Dangerous Game.
which I think was one of my favorite of. I've only seen like what 3 or 4.
Yeah.
I think that was my favorite. But even like we watched. First one I saw was King of New York. We watched that together, and then we were speaking about it like a month later, and I could barely recall the movie. It just washes over me.
To me.
I know.
There's so many bits.
I know, but most of them, like even this film, if we put off recording this for another week.
King of New York is a great Ferrara commentary as well. He's one of the kings of
New York.
It's interesting as well because you quite like the New York milieu which he traffics in.
Yeah.
Especially in Bad Lieutenant and King of New York and this and Miss 45.
I enjoy the pre-Giuliani New York that you're into too. But even though he is like the, as you say, like the
King of New York.
King of pre-Giuliani New York, this take on it just doesn't hit for me. I like everything I'm seeing. I like all the visuals. The visuals I think are one of my favorite things about this film. But the overall experience leaves me wanting more. Like, I'm assuming you enjoyed the visual aspects of this movie?
Yeah, I loved it. The colours,
Like,
the 16 the primary colours really popped.
Yeah, the flat that was entirely blue.
Yeah.
Just the cold, you know.
It looked
struggling
freezing.
artist. Yeah. Everything being so like dark and hazy.
All seems to be set at night all the time.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of them are set mostly like that because it just feels like it's night all the time there.
Yeah.
Like stuff maybe like Escape from New York. I feel like that's set in one night, but it is.
Well, if you like
dark New York.
Those films, did you like how similar this opening scene was to Mean Streets? When Keitel is in the church then.
It's been a while. It's been ages since I've
That's
seen Mean Streets.
Catholic connection there.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of Catholic immigration into the States, and you know New York being the port that it is.
Yeah, Ferrara
seeps across.
Spoke about how when you grow up Italian, even if you're not especially religious, you still grow up with that iconography instilled in you, and of course the sense of guilt that you get in films like Bad Lieutenant.
Mm-hmm.
But he did say something on the commentary when he said that he was co-hosting it with this English writer who wrote a book about him, and the guy goes, "It's very similar to a shot in Mean Streets, isn't it?" And then Ferrara goes, "Yeah, but they rented that dolly. We built ours."
I love that. I love that sense of ownership.
I like that sort of scrap, like, do a DIY kind of attitude that Ferrara has a lot of the times, where it's like, we just need to get this done. Just do it any way you can. And I think that if people don't meet those standards, he's known for being quite angry about it. I remember hearing a story about on the set of Xmas, they were filming at Christmas. The cinematographer wanted to go for Christmas shopping for his family. And Ferrara's like, "You're kidding me, man. You're going Christmas shopping. We're making a movie here, man. You dick? You can't do that, man. If you leave now, you dick, I'm going to fire you, man."
I like the authenticity of shooting a Christmas movie at
Christmas.
A Christmas movie at Christmas, yeah.
And then he just, I guess, fired this cinematographer because he wanted to go Christmas shopping.
It's like an episode of like a sitcom or something.
What he reminds me of a lot of the time is Marquis Smith from The Fall. Where they're both very iconoclastic, kind of working class backgrounds. They work all the time. And just their kind of whole vibe is similar. They're very urban. They're interested in these sort of dark auras that
dark auras
that cities have. They kind of take the folk horror elements but sort of transmit them to an urban landscape in a weird way.
Yeah.
Where there's something primal there.
Yeah.
In the way people have compared King of New York, Walken's character, to being like a vampire in the way he stalks around the city at night. Mm-hmm. And that's the kind of tone that I like particularly about him.
Yeah,
and of course,
especially in this era,
both kind of problematic people and kind of abrasive and hard to like sometimes.
Yeah,
Ferrara, for instance, is quite a sleazy guy a lot of the time. When you listen to the commentary, it's quite funny hearing the contrast between because he'll stop halfway through. And this fucking girl, man, I should have married her. You know, there's a bit towards the start where you remember the taxi where he's groping the girl he's with. He's with this English author who wrote a book about him. The guy goes, "Do you remember much about this actress?" And Ferrara goes, "I remember what her fucking tits like, I'll tell you that, man."
Oof.
And later on, there's a great kind of ironic bit where the author is talking about how it's very interesting that with all these women in the film, you don't kill them. You go only kill male characters. It kind of feels like you're resisting the misogynistic violence that was prevalent in the slasher genre at that time. And Ferraro goes, "Yeah, man, you don't drill your fucking bitches, you know."
There was a lot of elements in this film that felt very, very voyeuristic, though.
Oh, definitely. I mean, like when he's on top of the water tower.
There's a lot of it's something that we love that you don't see anymore. It's a lot of just like zooms in and out.
Yeah.
There's something I feel like there's something inherent about like the zoom, especially zoom in, that is very just like you're staring at something.
And I think part of that was probably a material necessity of the fact that they filmed this. They filmed a lot of scenes first on the cheap and then raised the money to film the real scenes.
Nice.
So a lot of the scenes where it's just shots of the street of him zooming in on people, that's taken without any permission or anything. Like Ferrara is speaking in the commentary, like, we didn't know if the cops were going to show up, and
Speaking of which, you may hear a siren outside.
we didn't know if the cops were going to show up and put us down, man, at any time. It definitely has that energy of like we just cobbled this together on the streets.
Oh yeah, but I feel like there's a lot of love through that.
Yeah.
Through, like the, having to use techniques, having to do this.
And it's reflected in what the film is about, an artist who's struggling to pay his rent.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about the horror elements of this film yet.
No.
The drillings.
The drilling.
Oh, it's a very working class tool to have your main character. I was gonna say main villain, main character wield.
Even attention for when he's just using the drill as a power tool. He's just putting the drill into a normal hole. There's a kind of tension there.
Yeah.
Like the interaction between him and he has two flatmates. They're both women. One of them is like, put the hole there, and then it puts the hole in. You want me to put the hole there? And then there's this kind of the way it's filmed. It feels like at any moment he's gonna snap and just drill her.
Yeah. There's good cuts of his like eyes to like the drill bits.
Yeah.
You just kind of like piece it together.
Did you like the drill killings in particular? My favourite one is the one where the guy is at the bus stop and Ferrara appears behind him. It's very similar to a shot in Tenebrae, where you kind of can just faintly see the outline of him behind him. And then he drills him through the glass.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's making this like shattering noise. I know Ferrara was saying that it's a real bus stop they're using, so that's real glass. They could break at any moment.
So good. Oh.
And there's a character who's just in that shot at one point who was just a guy who happened to be standing at the bus stop. And
Waiting for a bus.
Waiting for a bus.
I'm assuming, why else would you stand at a bus stop?
Indeed. Well, you don't know.
I am waiting for a bus.
I like it says on the when he does that killing, there's a poster on the bus stop that says New York wins.
Ooh.
It's great lights though, and great colour when he's doing the drilling.
Yeah, yeah.
And the one where especially, I know Ferrari gets really excited about this scene. He's like, "This is the fucking cum shot, man." When he's
Jesus.
This is what I've been waiting for, putting the drill into the guy's forehead.
Mm-hmm.
They were quite nervous about whether they were gonna make that shot work, because with the blood coming out, because that could easily go wrong. I think he was using a real drill as well a lot of the time.
Good.
So he wasn't sure if he was gonna kill a guy, and this guy's family was at the set, really excited. At one point, he did think that he'd accidentally drilled one of the actors to death. Turns out he hadn't.
That's relief.
He drills that one guy. He drills his hands into the wall in a Jesus Christ pose, as Chris Cornell would call it.
He's the only one to make the observation that Jesus Christ had his arms out in the cross.
Yeah, I've never heard that before.
Yeah. There's a line about everyone's gonna know that you haven't paid the rent. It's very much like a status symbol, New York status symbol of being shamed for the.
It's interesting that Ferrara's character, when he goes insane, he kills the only people who are lower down than him.
Yeah.
Like he lashes out at the homeless.
Yeah, despite the whole tension being built on people above him.
Yeah, not a lot of solidarity there.
No.
I know that Ferrara was saying that, like, he lived in that building, I think, for real, for like 20 years.
Ooh.
And he said that at one point they raised the rent from $500 to $600 and they nearly burned the building down. That would have taught him.
That would have learned him.
He says at one point as well, this street's all basically still the same, except for the rent, of course.
I like that. There's one bit that I just have. It was like a bit of Peep Show. It's in the subway. It's about the POV shot.
Yeah.
And it's like the way it's cut.
There's a lot of POV shots.
It reminds me exactly of the first episode of Peep Show when like Mark's getting on the bus because he's like getting on a subway. It was like it's like Peep Show.
It has that experimental quality that you get in exploitation films from this period, where a lot of it is just born of necessity.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's edited very quickly in a lot of the scenes.
A lot of sound effects.
A lot of sound effects, and really a lot of the time that's not intentional. It's just because that's the longest period we could film without someone coming and ruining the scene.
Yeah.
Did you like the cutaways to him covered in blood?
Yeah.
I think he called that the Stan Brakhage moment. And the bit where he had a lightsaber for some reason. You don't see that
Yeah,
bit?
yeah.
When you're making a film on the cheap, a lot of the time you just use what you can.
Yeah.
I think I've heard
It's
people
like
say...
making a podcast on the cheap.
It might have been Roger Corman who was talking about how, like, yeah, what we've got for this film is stock footage of a helicopter exploding, a samurai sword, and a car. Make a film with that. I'll tell you what scene I liked.
Tell me what scene you liked.
The art dealer comes round and refuses to buy his paintings and tells him he's just become just a technician, and then goes, it's worthless, 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 worthless,
it's very
worthless.
much like a 0 to 100 scene. It's great,
It
isn't
really
it?
is.
You know, because this has been building up through most of the film. It feels like it's portrayed to be the thing everything kind of hinges on, is him
Yeah.
getting the money for this piece, this commission.
Ferrara is like quite harsh on himself as an actor. I know at one point he's like, you see him in the film, I'm glad I didn't hire this actor again.
It's like he's got a weird voice in this movie.
He does have a weird voice. He has a weird face. He has that underbite. But I like his face. I think it's a good face for acting.
That's why you say he has a weird face in this movie.
Like his reaction to the worthless, worthless, worthless scene, he's just kind of staring into the distance.
Has he acted in anything post this?
I think he acted in a couple of other people's films as a favour.
Just getting in your mate's stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
I see.
But he's not been in as much stuff as like David Cronenberg has.
I feel like this is very much like a mood board for like late 70s New York.
It really is. It's weird to me to see this film because I've only seen one other film of his from this kind of period, Ms. 45.
Mm-hmm.
This is the earliest film I've seen after Nine Lives. And he kind of had that similar career trajectory to Cronenberg, I feel like, where he started out making these exploitation films, then ended up making studio genre films, and now he's kind of just evolved into making these films that are kind of at the cross-section of genre and art house, and they're on a quite low budget, and they're very much their own thing, and they're all cobbled together with funding from about 40 different public agencies.
They've always got actors that are also on that like can do art house, can do big blockbuster stuff.
Your Ethan Hawke's.
Ethan Hawke's, Willem. He's in quite a few recent ones, yeah.
I love those late period films. I feel like they always get mixed reviews from the mainstream press, but your film journals like your Cahiers du Cinema, Film Comment, Sight and Sound usually give them the time of day. And it's a shame because
it's night.
Indeed. It's the kind of film that I feel like they don't even make anymore. It's just that these particular directors can cobble together the money because they have name recognition.
The cachet.
Yeah. They're usually, quite... I feel like they're not that well respected because they're quite cheaply made in a way that they don't seem as technically proficient as their Hollywood films that people respect. And they don't have the raw energy of their early films, so people don't really know what to make of them, but they're very much their own thing. Paul Schrader's later films, especially Card Counter or something like that.
Yeah. Same kind of cast. He's sort of a few Ethans in his movie, right?
Yeah, and they also do that kind of thing where they're pushing the digital medium to its sort of stretching it.
He's another...
All the great directors are
pre-Giuliani New York guy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But all their current films have that very anonymous feeling because they're shot in, like, Greece or something and tax credits, like the new Cronenberg was. Or Ferrara shoots all of his films now in Italy, I think, because he lives there.
I see.
He made that Pasolini film in 2014, made the Ethan Hawke film last year that was set there.
Again, I've only seen the handful of them. I'm aware, these films are films I'm aware of, but...
Yeah, but he's been on that shtick for like 30 years.
Yeah,
almost.
He's pioneering that.
With the New York Hotel, New Rose Hotel.
New Rose Hotel.
One of my favourites.
Yes.
Starring Defoe and Walken, Asia Argento.
Mm-hmm.
The new Dario Argento film is kind of along those late style lines as well. Dark Glasses, made quite cheaply. He was trying to crowdfund a film recently. That didn't go down too
It's sad, isn't it?
It's quite sad.
Seeing everyone have to...
But I'd take all of these supposedly bad films by late style directors over your fucking Robert Eggers. It's one of those things where even if I don't love one of his films, there's still
Enough
I
to get
enjoy
from it.
watching it.
Interesting.
There are certain directors who I can just put on a film by them, and I know that I'll have not just an interesting time, but a good time as well.
I
Like
know what you mean.
Cronenberg, Fassbinder, someone like that.
Yeah. I have those too, but it's definitely not...
Not Ferrara.
It's not Abel Ferrara, no. Oh well.
Oh well.
Not for me.
you. I think you'd like Bad Lieutenant.
Probably. There's probably plenty I enjoy well
You
enough.
like
But
naked,
he's...
screaming Harvey Keitel.
I don't think I'll ever be at the point that you are with him. Which
I
is fine.
imagine not. I mean, when we watched King of New York, you were disappointed. I went to bed and watched a second Abel Ferrara film that
Yeah,
night.
well, there you go.
The thing that summed up the film was the final credit that simply said, "Dedicated to the people of New York, the city of hope."
Yeah, that's quite nice.
That is quite nice. You can tell that he loves these people.
These people he's...
Drilling. I've totally forgotten, Ron. We've basically not spoken at all about the fact that this was the original Video Nasty
Yeah,
in many ways.
yeah.
Do you know much about what Video Nasties are?
Yes, but I'd love you to tell me.
So essentially, when video started becoming a thing, distributors realised there was a loophole which meant that tapes would not need to be classified by the British Board of Film Classification, meaning they wouldn't receive a rating.
As stated on this tape here,
Yes, which I believe is a
exempt from classification.
exempt from classification. Interesting, because it's educational.
Yes.
There you go. Whereas the Driller Killer, 18.
18.
18. So essentially, it kind of got exacerbated by the fact that there became a sort of increasing moral public concern about this situation. And
On regulation.
yeah, and the film distributors realised they could capitalise on that by making it seem more like these were, scary films that you shouldn't see.
Mm-hmm.
So the Driller Killer distributors took out a huge full-page advert with making it seem like the goriest film ever. Just pure death. Oh, drilling. Even though it's not like that at all.
No.
It's quite, an interesting film. And then the Cannibal Holocaust distributors tried to make it worse by writing a letter to Mary Whitehouse, who was spearheading this campaign. She's the famous moral campaigner from the 70s who hated Doctor Who and things like that because it was aimed at children or something. So they wrote a letter to her complaining about their own film. That backfired. Eventually the Times and the Daily Mail started campaigns of public outrage to ban these disgusting films. And it became a moral panic, and the films were blamed for the increase of things like adolescent crime rates and stuff like this. There were raids on video stores by, especially in Greater Manchester, where the constabulary there was headed by this Christian fascist cop called James Anderton, who you may know as God's Cop from the Happy Mondays song.
Yes, as mentioned in episode 10 in the archives.
Yes, horrible man, dead now of course, died last year, great. But a lot of the times the titles they'd be picking up were totally arbitrary. Like they raided a video store and took the Dolly Parton musical The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas under the assumption that it was porn. But eventually this all led to the Video Recordings Act of 1984, meaning that these films had to receive a classification and they would get cut.
Yeah.
So a lot of the films ended up getting cut until they were released later on. But of course, the Video Nasties list, which was published, kind of became a collector's guide for horror fans. And as we can see on the Driller Killer tape, it's proudly advertising the fact that it says something here about Video Nasties, I swear to God. One of the most notorious films ever, single-handedly spawned the media Video Nasty hysteria of 1984, and the introduction of the Video Recordings Act.
1984!
Oh. Away from the hysteria, The Driller Killer is a powerful and compelling study of one man's descent into madness and violence.
It's the old 1999 slapped on it.
And then, this film shall be played loud. And you also like the starring Jimmy Lane, etc., etc. Jimmy Lane, he's Abel Ferrara, using a pseudonym.
Doesn't it say that on
Yeah.
it? Funny, the back of this case looks like a Nine Inch Nails album.
It does, it looks like Head Like a Hole.
Yeah.
Not Head Like a Hole, is that the name of the album?
The first one?
Yeah.
No.
Pretty Hate Machine.
That's the one. Yeah. Well, just like even the colors,
Yeah.
they're burnt oranges and they're stuff like that. Interesting. Maybe they were trying to capitalize on that.
These kind of moral panics were like
Nails,
constant
drills.
in the 80s, 90s, and the 2000s. Like,
We're over it now, of course.
well, of course. I mean, Child's Play 3 was blamed for the murder of James Bulger, even though the killers had never seen it. And I think Mortal Kombat was a big one. And ninjas, for some reason, the government really hated anything with ninjas. That's why they changed the name of, in the UK, Teenage Mutant
Heroes.
Ninja Turtles to Hero Turtles.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know that fascist cop I was on about who was notoriously homophobic and racist and everything?
Mm-hmm.
Often had people threatening public inquiries into him, but protected by Thatcher.
Ooh.
Dead now, of course.
Yeah. Like Thatcher.
Like Thatcher. But yeah, The Driller Killer, very consequential film.
Yeah. Speaking of drilling, would you like some numbers drilled into your head?
Yes.
Well, may I introduce you to Carol Vorderman's video class. I don't know, because of like the classic 90s like font varieties. You know they had, like their fonts in the 90s?
They did like their fonts.
I don't know if this is called Carol Vorderman's video class pop music times tables. Because it's the way it's stylized, it looks like it could be that. Same on the spine, it could be that. But you don't know. This is Carol Vorderman, known for being...
Countdown.
Yes. Teaching you about the times tables through the medium of pop music.
Yes. I think she'd been on Countdown for about 4 years at this point, I want to say.
Really hitting her stride. Looks like she's leaning on like the world.
It is. She really was the breakout star of Countdown, wasn't she? The photo
Ooh, I don't know. The big clock.
Oh.
People like the big clock.
Do. She's dressed like a second-rate 80s Doctor Who assistant companion in this back.
It's a
Terrifying video.
Very much a power stance. Terrifying?
Terrifying video.
Ah.
I think of Carol Vorderman. I think of first Countdown, then the fact that she's very beloved by sleazy middle-aged men who watch too much daytime TV.
Yes.
Who give her the title of Rear of the Year and so on.
Yeah. She did kind of become that figure, didn't she? But this tape, it's a very jazzy intro to this. There's a great mullet in the very first frame of this as they're going through a array of children and fun.
The editing of the whole
graphics.
tape is quite odd.
It is. We get shots of Carol. Well, she introduces it live in the studio from what I believe was the number wang set. It's got various numbers and ooh, what's the word for like numerical symbols? There's a word for that, like
There is.
like the equal sign and the times sign.
Numerical symbols. There you go.
That's one you won't Google. Thanks, Mark.
Well,
We get her in the studio, but it cuts. It's the vast majority of this tape is cutting away to songs and music videos to explain times tables to you.
4 songs.
Well, yes, there's four original songs. But you don't realize it straight away. First, it starts off with an easy one, a 2 times table.
Yeah.
And we get this this guy rapping. It's 1991 this came out. So what's he wearing?
Parachute pants, of course.
Of course, wearing parachute pants, and it's a very strangely short segment.
Yeah. It's so wide.
Yes, it is. Why he's way off the side of the frame, and it's very like it's. I feel like it should be a very vibrant set given the song, and like this guy just doesn't stop dancing the whole time.
It's like this sort of industrial kind of set as well.
Yeah, it's very gloomy looking almost. But he dances and
as he raps about 2 times 1.
yeah, 2 times 1 is 2.
3 times 2 is 4.
That's just explaining that out the way now. That is the entire. That's the majority of the vocals of every single song.
Yeah.
And you hear that just constantly for 50 minutes.
I recall Carol saying "let's rap" at one point.
She does like to say let's rap. So we get that first of all, and then you get another easy one, the 5 times table.
Fives, yeah.
We get a nice dull nothing song. Not even it's like one of the only ones we didn't get a proper video for. This song. It's just like a weird background visual of
Yeah.
a London bus tour.
Kind of baggy style visuals, I want to say, psychedelic.
Yeah, all the time, very all the time. From there, move on to my favourite times table, 10.
10.
Yeah.
Easy one, as Carol says.
Yeah. If you had to pick a times table to save your life, you'd go 10.
Go 10.
Yeah.
We were very excited for 7 to come up.
We were.
Very disappointed.
Waiting, yeah. Well, that's not...
Let's not blow our loads so quickly on 7.
Let's not jump to 7. Whoa. But for 10, we get this like adult and child holding up signs at like I think it says at the end it's a Charlton Athletic football ground.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's what the end they thank Charlton Athletic FC.
I don't think it was an adult and child. I think it was just a man and girl who was quite short.
No, it was a child.
Was it?
I'm pretty sure it was a
Fair
child.
enough.
They had sunglasses on.
They were kind of doing the bit from the Bob Dylan film Don't Look Back where he does Subterranean Homesick Blues and he has the signs and goes through them.
Yeah.
My Bob Dylan voice there.
Can we get a little bit more, Dylan?
No, it's fine.
No, well, I could loop that.
Who's above shine in the sun? Yeah, like a rolling stone. And so on.
And so on. This song's weird. This song's it's like a take on I Need You Tonight by INXS. It's got that same kind of like but it's just lifeless.
Yeah.
I think after that it's to the Madonna.
Yeah,
isn't it?
Most elaborately produced video.
Yeah.
It's a parody of the Vogue video.
Yeah, from the quality of the other ones, this one's got like multiple backup dancers.
Yeah.
A lot of cuts, a lot of interesting visuals for the tape.
As I commented, they seem to be trying to rhyme pose, as in strike a pose, with four is.
Four is instead of pose. It was 4 is.
5 times 4 is.
Yeah, that kind of goes out the window when they use the same song again
On
for
8 and 12.
and 12. Every song gets at least used twice. Every song they fit at least 2 times tables in, or 3, if that makes sense. Am I explaining that correctly? The way they play it is they'll play the song through once of like here's us like 2 times 8 is 16. But then they'll cut to Carol for a second in the studio, and she'll be really zoomed in her face, like just her face.
If you've seen the Peter Serafinovich Brian Butterfield sketches, where it zooms in on the diet while he says Saturday is treat day, very similar to that in my mind.
Yeah, and she'll just bark out stuff like shout the answers or once again, and then it'll just cut straight back to the music video, and you'll see it through entirely again. Except they've blanked out the answers to it, so I'll just go 2 times 8 is 2 times 9 is, and then
you're supposed to shout out 18.
Yeah, but I feel like the way they do this, it doesn't make sense to me. Surely, if you're gonna put the times tables to a song, you want it to be more exciting than just like 2 times 8 is 2 times 9 is 2 times 10 is.
There's no sing-along quality to it.
Yeah, it's just delivering lines. And I also feel like the fact that they use the same tracks, the same backing tracks and the same stuff for multiple times tables, it's going to be confusing. People are going to get confused.
They are.
Is this 3 or is it 10? Or is it 9?
This could have been an effective teaching method.
No.
I see, it's the classic, it's almost like a parody of in sort of comedy show where it's like, we need to appeal to the kids.
Yeah.
And they do this really lame thing. It's like a parody of that.
Yeah.
These days, of course, it'd be a YouTube video that we'd be watching in class.
Yeah. No wheeling in the old big TV on a trolley. No.
I told you that the one that I always remember is the one we learned in business, which was a parody of paparazzi. But it was the business concept, the 4 Ps. Where he's like, marketing is easy if you remember the 4 Ps. Price, product, place and promotion. That's what I always remember. And that has worked.
It's worked because it's sung. It's not just explained.
No.
The beat behind it. Yeah. There's not much to really take from this. Carol's fun.
She's always
when they
fun.
give her time, because sometimes they'll cut back and be like, a trick to the 9 times table is that the two numbers will always add up to 9. You know, you get little helpful things like that. I
Yeah.
think even that just 20-second clip of her saying that to camera is probably more helpful than someone singing and dancing explaining the 9 times table. But
I guess
that
they
doesn't fill a tape.
assume that kids can't pay attention to a full tape of Carol Vorderman.
Yeah, she likes to mix it up. There's one point where they just have her right on the board instead of speaking.
Yeah.
There's
There's
one.
a bit where they cut to the auto cue and
Yeah.
she reads it out.
Yeah.
Very kind of meta.
There's one point where she's like walking through the backstage, like she's like breaking the fourth wall, and walking past the crew.
What was the bit that you compared to Brass Eye?
Oh, there's a part where she's like, say she was saying like, and now let's hear it without the answers. I'd be like, and now let's hear it without the answers, and it would like cut from different angles and different takes together and piece it together. But as you're watching this, the song just ends. It cuts to her for like 10 seconds, and you're back into it. So all these things just like hit you in the face like a
So
brick. And you're just like, what?
Would
What?
you have preferred this with Rachel Riley?
No. Doesn't have the charisma,
She really doesn't.
and I wouldn't really prefer her.
You don't trust her.
I don't trust her. No.
One of the famous things about Carol Vorderman that people always talk about is the fact that she got a third at university. So
She talks about herself, doesn't she?
she does. I think she takes it on the chin.
Yeah.
People do call a third a Carol
Yes, that's
sometimes,
true.
or a Vorderman,
Yeah.
as one of those joke names, like how they call a Tutu a Desmond after Archbishop Desmond Tutu.
Good one.
Those things are always kind of lame, aren't they? Those joke names and things.
Yeah. Kind of just makes you think of bingo numbers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all the fours.
What's that?
44.
Yeah.
2 little ducks. 22.
Legs.
11.
Yeah. We're just now calling out bingo numbers. Yeah, this is.
What's your favourite bingo number? I'm asking the audience.
Oh,
You
okay.
can have yours specifically if you want.
Me?
Yeah.
Legs.
11. That's like
There you go.
Kelly's Eye, number 1. I can't remember that many.
No. Knock on the door.
Something 4.
Yeah, it's something for. Couldn't tell you which. Yeah, this is quite fun. At the end of the tape, one of the things Carol asks, well, gives the audience to do as an option is to she's included a times table square, she calls it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think she's a times table square if you ask me.
Ah.
These jokes work so much better as we're watching the tape as opposed to explaining it afterwards. She's got this times table grid, I'd call it, in here. And encourages the audience to cut it up and put it back together themselves. But it's the smallest thing ever.
You're never going to be able to do that.
You're gonna like lose pieces. You're not gonna know what 7 times 3 is because you've lost it.
If you're at home, I'd say make your own.
Yeah, A4 paper.
You can probably print out from the internet these days.
Oh yeah. And you won't ruin your
Yeah, you'll ruin the box.
inside sleeve. Yeah. Would not recommend that if you also own a copy of Carol Vorderman's video class pop music times tables.
But it is on YouTube. So we'll post a link to that on the Twitter page.
Of course. Well, thank you to the people at Storm Education for that.
I hope next week's random tape is better.
Oh, we'll see. Should we get into it?
Yeah,
Should we
sure.
get into tape for next time? Should I go first for the tape this week?
Yes, give me your tape that you have chosen.
Okay.
Don't look at me, you're looking at me while you do this. It's an artificial eye one. It's 4 Adventures of Lynette and Mary Mirabel by Eric Romer.
It is.
Why did I think that you might choose a Roma film? Well, I look forward to that.
No, I
I'm
did.
just-
What made you think that?
I don't know. I was also thinking you might choose a Revette film.
Ah,
But in many ways,
I did imply it was foreign.
it's kind of interesting that you've chosen this because you've chosen a film about 2 people. And my film is also a classic film about 2 fun characters.
You've given me Beavis and Butthead Do America. It's The full-length hit movie,
It is.
as it says 4 times on the front. How long? By full length, how long is this? Like 70 minutes?
I hope about that long.
7 to 8 minutes.
Good.
Full length.
I mean, Beavis and Butthead's a limited concept to begin with.
Where's this come from?
Yeah, I just bought it. There's a new Beavis and Butthead film out this year called Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe.
Ah, so you haven't been listening to Speed and Bullet to Heaven?
No.
Ah,
I've been watching clips of... I was watching a lot of Beavis and Butthead clips on YouTube when I got this.
I see.
And it's kind of what we do, isn't it? We watch things and then laugh.
We do. That is the podcast. I like this. I'm.
Who do you identify with more, Beavis or Butthead?
We'll find out next week. Next episode, not week. We're not made of podcast.
Not made a podcast.
Yeah, I'm feeling good about next episode.
Me too. I
We'll
think this is a
see
good...
if that comes to an end when you pick out the tape for next time. 2 hours? You looking for the time?
I was just looking at what year it was. This is probably one of Romer's comedies and proverbs. Period. All these films are grouped like that, aren't they? Yeah, give me the random tape. No, give me the hat that determines the random tape.
Ugh.
I
Here
can
you
hear
are.
the shaking of the random hat. The hat. Not really in
You
there.
trailed off there. No. There's in the period between recording last, there's been a lot of moving and shaking in my life, and I have lost all the numbers for this. My intention was to always have them be different numbers. So we'd be like, oh, what was number 13? It was this film. But last episode I messed up, and there was 2 17s. Yeah, so we've had this Carol tape is our second 17. But hopefully that doesn't happen again.
Well, we'll see if it
It's
does.
a little
These
Easter
are
egg.
all 12. Ow, that hurts a bit.
Now you know how Rod felt.
3.
3.
Nice and simple. What's
Don't-
that in bingo?
Close your eyes. Oh.
Oh,
Keep them closed.
is it good?
Usually the lower numbers I associate with being bad, but I haven't looked through these in a while.
Got my hand outstretched right now.
Okay, got it for you.
What am I looking at here? It's covered in Gascoigne's Glory. it's Paul Gascoigne, a unique video tribute from, I guess, 1990 Italian Euros.
Yes.
Is this the one where he cried?
It's your favourite, Gaza.
It is. Thrilled us with his passion and touched us with his tears. Gascoigne's Glory. And it's signed by Brian Moore on the back.
For real?
No, not for real.
Of course not for real. So yeah,
80 minutes?
we've
No,
got
I'm crying.
we've got a bit of Gaza to look forward to.
Can we... Was this the year of...
Next time. I think that just about does it for us. Yeah, I think we're all finished here. If you'd like to follow the podcast on Twitter, the Twitter account is @OnTapesPodcast. You can find many of the things discussed here. If we ever talk about videos or any images or sometimes articles, we'll try and post them on the Twitter account. I guess with that, I'll ask you if you've got any final remarks, Mark.
Silence, Mr. Crusher.